voice.
I don't have one.
Make this phone.
All right. We do have some good titles. On the rest of the work. Also have to do extra table. We have the insurance book. The work only here book. And that's our legal projects for M ratio. Basic antenna stuff. And it's at a lower price than this one. But they're the same ISBN, they're the same book inside, cover change, price change. So have a few different items, that's it. I'll see you later.
All right. Parking is in the North Merrill Engineering parking lot. Is everybody able to find it? Know where it was? Yeah, I see a thumb up, so yes. You can actually walk through the building if you want to. I walked through the building and I parked in the handicap slot, which is clear the heck out there. I don't understand that, but it was a long walk. I know they do. They do that to keep me away from here. All right, a couple of things that are coming up the next couple of meetings. We got homebrew night coming up. So finish up your projects and bring them in and show them to us. And we have elections coming up. So please, if any of you have an inclination to take a position on the board, do so. Okay. All right, this is what we're here for today. We're going to try and get a vote on the bylaws change. James, can you bring that up?
Yes, for sure. Sorry about that.
Okay, go to the top of it. All right. The top two paragraphs you see right there are the way the bylaws are written at this moment, this particular section of them, I should say. Our bylaws have not been looked at or updated or amended since October of 2002. So they are 22 years old. A lot of things have happened in the last 22 years. There are things in our bylaws that we couldn't comply with even if we wanted to. And we don't want to, so we need to update the bylaws. The problem is that to update the bylaws, the way the bylaws are currently written, we have to have 10% of our membership in this room all at one time in order to have a quorum. Now we have members all over the country. There's 340 or so, is that right, James? 340?
Yeah.
Yeah. Meaning we'd have to have 34 people in here. We don't normally have 34 people. That's why we have been harping for the last couple of months. If you are a member, please come to this meeting, even if you don't ever come to any others, because we have to have a quorum in order to do this first little tiny change. Go down to the second section, James, the proposed section.
Looks like you have about 40.
Okay, the first change that we want to make is that we don't have to have 10 people here or 10% of our people here because we can't physically do it. We'll never be able to. And until we make that change, we cannot go forward making any other changes on the bylaws. So that's what the vote is for. So I'm going to turn the time over to Bruce. Bruce, get a count, find out if we have a quorum. We've got to have 34 paid members.
All right, anybody that's a member, please raise your hand so we can get a count.
Look at this. Count yourself.
We have a quorum.
Mr. President.
Yes,
Mr. President, I move that we accept the bylaw change without objection in this room by just a voice vote of aye. And if we have that, then you can determine that 3/4 of us voted that way. If there's opposition, then we may have to go to some sort of hand count vote or something like that.
fair enough.
I don't see a lot of opposition, I think, to keeping this club together.
All those who are in favor of changing the vote, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody that's opposed? Ayes have it.
That was easy.
I love you guys. Yeah, quick and dirty. Thank you for that. I can't overly express how important this was. And we, believe it or not, just for those 2 paragraphs, we put in an enormous amount of time discussing it, trying to come up with something that's readable, that you don't have to bounce all over the bylaws to get an answer to a question, and something that will actually be legal. So we think we have it. There will be more in future meetings as we come up with additional changes as we go through this. So thank you very much. And I'm going to turn the time over now to our presenter, Brett Davis, KJ7Y, is going to talk to us about the Utah Offroad Recovery Team.
All right.
And he has a big voice, so he doesn't need this either. This is just for show.
So I'm told.
That an emergency came up at his work. He's been scheduled for quite some time. And so
Got
this
the little
man
mic.
and some of these engineers are leaving immediately after the meeting and heading down towards landing where they have to be. So we really appreciate him gutting this up and coming here. Because that's put an imposition on his engineers and him. So I wanted to mention that to you all.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank you, Jerry, for the motion and all of you for making it happen. That was most impressive in any organization I've been in. So my name is Brett Davis, and thank you for inviting me here tonight. I'm parked in the east lot, not the north, so I don't know, maybe I'll be thumbing a ride afterwards and I won't be getting down there so fast, but towed. I see some familiar faces, Noji and Adam over here. And so I'm with, oh, we need to probably turn mine on. Just like that. We actually have a presentation. So we're the Utah Off-Road Recovery Team. There's a couple others with a similar name. I'm not sure how much I'll talk enough about myself during the course of the thing. So we're created to, we're a group of volunteers that helps out folks that manage to get stuck in the backcountry. Typically we go where tow trucks don't want to go. Our services are free of charge. We're all volunteers. We do this for entertainment. We're a sick and twisted sort. The gentleman I walked in with today talked about his neighbor, Mad Max. And I think I have a lot in common with your neighbor. So we, everyone in the team has different levels of experience. We do training and make sure that we're using best practices as we do as we entertain ourselves. A little bit of history. We were created around 8 years ago. There are a lot of very active Jeeping and 4x4 Facebook groups and email groups, just like there are ham groups. And at the time, there was suddenly a rash of people, getting stuck. And there's a lot of volunteers and a lot of help in the community. And folks would say, oh, I can help, I can help, I can help. And then an hour later, 2 hours later, it's like, well, did anyone go help? Well, I don't know, and sometimes we get together and go, and sometimes it just really wouldn't happen. So we got together, and there were several of these groups that formed, and most of them, like I said, were kind of a free-for-all, and we saw an opportunity to organize this a little bit more and be a lot like search and rescue, if you will. So we're search and rescue for vehicles, not people. We have a lot of our members are search and rescue folks, and so we will work with them from time to time, but we don't pretend to be search and rescue. We started out with, I don't know, 300 or so members, and then we wanted to kind of take it to the next level. And we had some requirements to be in the group, and a lot of them really made a lot of sense. And most of us were hams. Well, many of us were hams. And we decided that that would be a very good filter because it's something that we used, and it takes a little bit of skin to get in the game. And if you really want to do it, you're going to get your ham license if you don't have it already. And that's been wonderful. And now we're down to about 42 members. We actually, we dropped to about 30 members. And then over the last 2 or 3 years, we're back up to 42. So to be on the team, I talked about the ham license. Ooh, how do you do the lasery thing? Oh, it's the,
Yeah.
Woo. You got to have a 4x4. Our requirements are pretty chill, other than, I mean, the ham license is literally the hardest requirement we have. Oh, can everyone hear me? Okay, anyone that can't hear me, raise their hand. You got to have a decent, 4x4 rig, tow strap, loop ends, first aid kit, some kind of a go bag. A lot of our recoveries are a 2-person job. Sometimes we'll have a bigger scene, and we'll see some of those photos in here where we have to use kind of incident command structure protocol. We do a lot of stuff with Davis County and the sheriffs up there. They've got Joel on speed dial. Adam knows Joel, and so on a bigger recovery, we're going to have several different groups and we just have to have that organization. Basic first aid that we get updated. So it's, hopefully I didn't just point at someone. So how we operate, we're basically Facebook based, and we're looking at other ways to do it. But if someone's stuck, right, kind of everyone here has a friend that's a Yahoo Jeeper, right? I mean, everyone kind of knows someone. They know that person, right? And so a lot of times they either know about us or they'll reach out to their friend and their friend knows about us. So there's a little bit of community knowledge, a little bit of word of mouth. They can Google us up, but they reach out, they message. We have a members group where we all geek out and talk about recovery things. And then we have a public page, and they message us. There's 6 or 7 of us that monitor that, and we're the dispatch team. And so we get some key information from the folks, their location and GPS coordinates, photos, contact information, and then we take that to our group and find out, who's available. We have an SMS text system that, say we get someone up at the B, Bountiful B, that's our honey hole. And we'll text out Davis County in the text. We'll put a little post in there. We'll have some photos of the situation, talk a little bit about it, who's available. The folks will say, I can go. And then we'll assign a team, and then we'll take that team to a private chat so that the rest of the folks in the group aren't getting a bunch of noise. And then we work out in the chat, typically all the dispatchers and some other folks in the group. We monitor that. The guys on the team will have a team lead. They'll make contact with the RP, the reporting party, and then coordinate with them for the recovery. Again, we try not to infringe on the towing industry, right? We typically go where tow trucks don't want to go. And then there's some that we turn down. There's a bunch of folks think it's smart to drive around in the muddy salt flats out there, and we send them to the guy out in Wendover with the big mud cat, because we're just gonna get stuck too. Okay, I talked a little bit about this. After we make contact with the stuck party, we send them a little waiver. They fill it out on their phone, send it back, just kind of, we've never had to test it. Hopefully it would hold up in court. I don't know. We're very safety oriented. We'll probably spend, there's a slide coming up here. The total recovery took us 18 minutes. We did a recovery, same methodology that took us over an hour just to identify how to safely rig it. Once we had everything rigged, took about 10 minutes. So we spend a lot of time making sure we do things safely. We talked about a lot of this stuff. How do we use ham radio? Like I said, we started out, most of us were, many of us were hams. Now we're all hams. We use it, communication to and from the recovery. We use it extensively on site. Sometimes we're a couple 100 feet apart from each other. Sometimes there are several vehicles up on a road and several down below hooking up to the stuck vehicle or the vehicle that's gone off. We typically, on a larger job, will have a winch boss that has to coordinate between different winching crews, and you'll see that in some of the photos. We're trying to use APRS a little bit more and use some of that ability to see where each other's at and keep track of the team while they're out on a recovery. Okay, equipment. We love, like ham operators, we love the gear, right? We love the radios, we love the antenna, we love all the gear. And so some of the gear that we use, I've got laid out on the table here. And if any of these are interesting to you, you can buy most of this stuff from Adam down at Wasatch Truck. I've given Wasatch Truck a lot of money over the years. You probably see the folks on YouTube doing the recovery, the kinetic rope recoveries. That's always popular. This is a very short kinetic rope, just so I didn't have to carry a bunch of stuff in here. I use this for a lot of, if I'm just out four-wheeling and a simple trail recovery where I just need to give them just a short tug or a dead pull off a trail. All of our systems, we like to use looped ends, no hooks. And then we like to attach things to each other using either like a Crosby screw pin bow shackle, or Joel's favorite. I mentioned this guy named Joel a lot. He's our VP. He's a heavy wrecker operator, and he now sells tow trucks and knows the ins and outs of it, but he hates soft shackles. And so we just have to torment him with soft shackles. And so a soft shackle, you can loop it through, knot, noose, load, like that. And then this would go around, maybe something that you would put in your trailer hitch like that, and you'd hook it on like that. Never, ever, 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 ever use a trailer hitch ball if you find yourself stuck. If that's all you have, take the receiver out, put this in the receiver, put the pin through it, just like you would hook this into your receiver. I could be done right now, actually. That's the most important thing I've said tonight. Winch extensions. One of the things that's hilarious is we'll have some folks go out, Dell or Knowles or just somewhere where they fall through like the muddy crust or, yes, sir? It becomes a projectile. It's made for kind of a static, towing. You're never really giving it an impact load. It's just, yeah.
The tongue weight, really, and Joel, his person will educate you on how these things turn into.
Relentlessly. He's collected quite a album of photos of tow ball hitches gone wrong. Adam's seen it, I'm sure. And we get a lot of recoveries that we end up calling a 2-fur or a 3-fur or a 4, I don't know, with 4-fur. Well, folks, hey, I'm stuck. Jim, come get me. Jim comes out. He's stuck here. What do you think Jim does? Guess who's stuck now? Right? So it's like, okay, more fun for us. Yes, sir.
Well, I learned something. Ball, I didn't know that. But why don't you like hooks? Have they got the same problem in some way or?
It can, and it can fall off, you know, and sometimes it just, like if you happen to back up a little bit or you're repositioning or something, the hook can fall off. So we like a closed system as much as possible. Sometimes all you have is a hook. Sometimes the only thing on a vehicle, like the newer Jeeps have these silly hooks on the front of the bumper, and it's like, why? But they know better. But I mean, I don't know, this has a hook on it and we use this a lot, so. But mainly that's why. Yeah. And typically any tow strap with the hook is probably rated for about 5,000 to 7,000 pounds. So it's, you know, you get them at Walmart and, you know, you're going to maybe tow your Honda home from where it broke down at Walmart. I don't know. But that's the main reason. It's a safety and rating a little bit. These are, Adam, help me out a little bit here, where this is 4 3/4 tons, but there's like a 5-to-1 safety factor, right?
Yes, it's anything that is used to lift, not tow, but to lift is a 5-to-1.
Yeah.
So most of the towing gear is minimum 5.
So instead of 9,500 pounds, that's like 45,000 pounds ish.
My reach cable is 7,400 pound working load. The minimum breaking strength is 52,000 and change. And that's normal across the.
And if your 4,000-pound Jeep is stuck up to its axles, you know, you're looking at tens of thousands of pounds to pull it out.
Yeah, I can add up.
So a lot of these things, they break in.
Yeah, Joel has all that recovery math, and I should have it, but I learned it and forget it. But there's one recovery. Oh, somehow we're off my slideshow.
We can swap right back.
Oh, okay.
Just that the viewers on YouTube might have wanted to see some of your toys.
Oh, very good. Okay. Did we hit all the toys? We got the chain bridle. Oh, I was telling a story. So instead of pulling right up next to them, we stay like 50 feet back or 100 feet back or where it's solid. And then we reach out and grab them and pull them to safety. So a lot of us carry 2 or 3 of these 50-foot winch extension lines. And sometimes we'll use these. You'll see in a photo where we have to reach down a, cliff. Yes, sir.
Do you ever have to help somebody with not only their truck, but also an RV that's off? I mean, you do that occasionally.
Yeah.
Because that's far where we get.
Yeah, we've done a few. We don't see as many of those. Typically an RV somewhere where they could call a wrecker, and the wrecker can get to them pretty easily. We're typically places where, wreckers literally don't want to go. Yeah, and we've done a few, and I've done a few both on and off the team. Any other tool? Endless loop, just another great tool to spread the load out on vehicle. A lot of the trucks and Jeeps have 2 tow hooks on the front. So we'll go to both sides of the frame rail so that when we do pull, we're not twisting the frame or anything like that. So we'll go to both sides and then have a Crosby in the middle that'll go to either our winch line or if we use a kinetic rope. Oh, and then also pulley block, right? Sometimes, and you'll see in one of the videos, actually multiple, you're not always lined up perfectly to where the stuck vehicle is and where you can get your Jeep. And sometimes, so these can be used in a couple different ways. I can attach it to a rated tree. Joe loves the trees that have weight ratings on them. So I can be right here with my Jeep and the vehicle's over here. I can come up and do a redirect and go over to the vehicle. So it's the same winch force, we're just changing direction. A lot of times, if it's a really narrow road and I don't want to go like this and slide off, I'll go up to this and I'll come over, and then the worst that's going to happen to me is I get pulled up to the tree, right? And then he gets pulled up. Yeah.
What'd you call that?
A redirect. Well, this is a pulley block. Yeah. Snatch block. And I've been, pardon? Yes. Yeah, I had a chance to go down and help with field day a little bit, and I was impressed with the way that you guys use that. And then you can also put this on the stuck vehicle, run your winch line out to it, and then back to you or back to another vehicle. And we do that to help with traction most of the time. Sometimes you're helping the winch kind of double the, or actually cut in half the load on the winch, right? So if there's 4,000 pounds in the line, 4,000 pounds coming back, this is taking 8,000 pounds. That reduces the load on the winch. Sometimes we're, you know, on mud or snow or whatever, and that if we were just winching, say that vehicle needs 8,000 pounds to come off, and 8,000 pounds is going to slide us right towards them. So we'll have another vehicle or maybe even a tree and go out, and then that's only 4,000 pounds on me, 4,000 pounds on them, and yet we're getting the 8,000 pound pull. So a lot of different ways you can use these. You can double them up, and there's look up Spanish Burton if you're ever wanting to get super geeky with recovery stuff. Okay, Spanish Burton. That's a fun one. That gives you a 4-to-1 with just using 2 of those. Okay, we can probably go back to this. How far did we get? Training. We go out. This is Joel's Jeep. Actually, he runs an off-road training company, teaching folks how to properly recover vehicles off-road. And so we have internal team trainings 4 or 5 times a year where we go out and we practice and learn new things and kind of sharpen our skills. Okay, this is, I think this was up at the B. This is the one I talked about. From when we get there to when we leave, or to when we're done, took 18 minutes. I love this. This is one of the things that we like about our team is, well, we work as a team. And we've done so many together that we know what we're going to do. We still do a scene assessment. We still talk about, especially on a more difficult one, how we're going to do things. But on one like this, there's a vehicle right there. One like this, I was the 3rd vehicle. Alex and Vernon went up, turned around. I pulled in. Ryan behind me hooked onto me. Vernon hooked onto Alex. Todd was back 2 or 3. We thought this was going to be really nasty, and we'd actually already done one earlier that day. And because Todd wasn't using his vehicle, he became winch boss. And then you'll see us all kind of. So we pull up. Yeah, hit the lights. We'll watch this again. I could watch this over and over and over. Okay. So we're rigging to do a redirect off a tree down to the vehicle. This is a pendulum maneuver. That's what we call it. That's me. And that's it. Done. Like bam, bam, bam. And just those are so fun. We just love doing that. So we did a very similar one 3 weeks ago, Milkmaid up above Silver Lake. And it took us, like I said earlier, over an hour to rig it safely. Just narrow road. We didn't really have anything to hook onto. Crazy rains were coming through. And while we were up there, there was a landslide behind us on the trail. So on our way out, we had to kind of four-wheel up and over it. But we like that because we're Yahoo Jeepers. This is one out in the West Desert. This ram's stuck in a ditch. Similar approach. Yeah, keep it off. We'll run through a couple. How are we on time? Okay. Let's see. So Mark had gotten out there, he was in the Blue Raptor, and he'd kind of done a scene assessment and planned everything out. So when I'm trying to think of who else was there. When we pulled up, he's like, "What do you think of this and that?" And we said, "Yeah, let's do it." Bam. Kind of boring, kind of fun. We don't like.
It looks so easy
Yeah. We don't want any of our recoveries to be exciting. We want to be very boring. It's fulfilling and satisfying. We don't like exciting. Okay. Oh, this was kind of fun. This was up by Silver Lake, and they had ripped the A-arm assembly off. That thing was like barely hanging on. And this guy was selling these plastic sleds more for ATVs, but we're like, hey, let's try it. So we rigged up. I think this was right after hernia surgery for me, so I couldn't do anything but drive.
Seems to work.
It worked pretty well. There were some spots in the trail where the snow got thin and it got into the rocks, and the rocks just destroyed the plastic. But that was fun. You know, there's an endless loop. Let's see, pointy thing. So we use the endless loop, chain bridle or chain hooks to hook onto the frame. You don't want to hook like a strap or anything onto a frame. It can get cut, right? So pulled them over and did a dead pull out. This is up at the B. And I mean, this is ice. There's slush and ice. And you can see I didn't bring any traction boards in. You've got the traction boards. All the overlanders like to put the traction boards on the side of their Tacomas. They're actually useful. And we use them mostly to give us traction when we're doing a pull like that. Hey, is that Joel? There's Joel. Yeah. Let's see where I'm. Oh, this is up by Heber. Okay. So we're doing a redirect. This was kind of fun. Narrow canyon road. They've slid off it. We can't get past them. So I came up, went to a tree behind them to the back of their vehicle. The person behind me went past me, did a redirect to the front of their vehicle. Popped it right up. There you go. Oh, yeah, you guys can see that one. Okay. Slow, boring, satisfying. But then we had to back him down because he couldn't turn around there. We had to back him down about a half mile or so. And that was exactly. Right. So multiple rigs. We have winch boss. We do quite a few of these up at the B. And this is where, you know, the teamwork, the incident command, the ham radios, all this stuff really starts, you know, coming into play. When there's just two of us on a recovery, you can holler at each other. Ham radios are better. We use a lot of handy talkies and mobile. But I think one of these, we've done a few. But where we, how they went down, they kind of went down and we couldn't reach them with the winches from the first spot where they actually went off. So these guys down here had a clear shot. They could get down to them. It was about 300 feet down. So we had a lot of these winch extensions. They pulled them up to where we could see them and reach them because we can't pull them over this barricade. But we could pull them right there where you see and get them up and then get them up onto the road. And one of those, oh, blah, blah. That must mean I'm done. Yeah, this is always really tricky when we get to this spot. One of these, the guy realized what was happening, and as he started to go off, he turned into it and he wrote it down. He was okay. We got the vehicle up, fired it up, and he drove it down the canyon. It's like, I mean, it was pretty banged up, but questions? Okay.
Shown a slide where the vehicles were using, the two vehicles were using a hook system to get that other vehicle out. But then that probably would not work. And then my other question is, you had said something about the rating of the cable to pull up the car, but also there's like another rating, like a breaking point or something?
So yeah, we want to work within, like this shackle, for instance, is rated for 9,500 pounds. So we want to work within 9,500 pounds. And if we think it's going to take more than 9,500 pounds, then we'll hook on to multiple places so we don't overload it. What was the other part of the question?
About the rating of the cable, but also a different rating, like a breaking point or something?
So there's two ways they rate these. They have a minimum breaking strength, right? And a lot of the ropes are rated that way. So if they tested 5 of them and one of them broke at 47,000 pounds, that's the minimum, right? You don't, who cares if the other one's broke at 60,
Yeah.
you know, if you hit 55 and you're using the one that's 47, you're in trouble. And then maximum tensile strength, and then things are based on that. And that's a lot of the steel stuff. Working load.
But it's 5.
So
minimum
so-
wrench strength is 5 times that
or the-
when they actually test them in the lab. And when you buy a Cosby boat shackle versus the one that Harbor Freight or something else, those are actually tested in a lab and they publish their results. The ones at Harbor Freight and also some of the expensive ones in 4x4 stores are not tested. And so they are known to occasionally break. So it looks cool on your Jeep, but you don't want to get pulled by it.
Yep. Perfect. There was a question here.
How many? You showed instances where the vehicle hadn't rolled
Mhm.
down. Is that a completely different kind of thing when the vehicle is rolled rather than when the vehicle is, well, you showed one where the vehicle was upside down, but you were fairly close to it. When the vehicle is forward down at the bottom of the hill upside down, does that make it much more difficult for you, or?
Absolutely. And typically in that situation, we will get the vehicle up on its tires. We'll roll it over whichever way we can. And then I'll get back to you. And then we did one a few weeks ago and Joel was down on it and it was a Dodge truck. It had rolled over. So we got it up on its tires, but then the steering wheel was locked, right? And so the front tires were locked. And most of the way up, they had to winch it up about 100 feet, maybe 75 feet. Most of the way up, it actually worked out great. But then they got to the top and the front just kept swinging over because those tires were. So generally, we don't want to just slide it on its roof or its side. I mean, that's just going to tear it apart even more. So the first operation will be to get it on its tires, and then we can get it out easier. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. We just exerted our will. And we just, yeah, all you can do is just kind of pull it up, and you put a winch line or 2 or 3 on the front, and the tires are going to slide whichever way you want.
How often do you have to deal with spilled fuel and have to be super cautious for?
Hardly ever. Hardly ever. We haven't had that. You can have fluids like oil and stuff like that, and most of us carry, and I say most of us because mine isn't in my Jeep right now, like a spill kit where you've got, you know, the kitty litter or the absorbent stuff. And so if it's laying on its side, you're going to have oil that's leaked out of somewhere, you know. And most of our recoveries, I'd say maybe 5% or have rolled at all. And so the vast majority are just like the one that went off the cliff, we say they ran out of talent. And then the other ones, you know, the other ones are just, they're just out having fun, you know, and just stuff happens. Let me come right here and then I'll get back over to you. Yes, ma'am.
You had you had shown one where you replaced the wheel with a snow skid, but what would happen if the truck was then upside down, but then the wheels had also come off, so now you don't have the tires in order to help get it back?
We would still try to get it on its tire back right side up. And then, you know, we've used an old hood, like from a pickup truck, and put it under the front and rigged it on there. We used, I did a side-by-side, and you can do this with a Jeep too. It had ripped the front off, and we used a big log. We just put a log down underneath that side, chained the log to the suspension, and we actually ran the chain, kind of daisy chained it a couple times up to our Jeep, hooked it on, and we literally pulled the side-by-side with the chain, with the log, and it was riding on the log on that side. And I think we had it hooked to, because I was following, so we had it hooked to Todd's Jeep. And from behind, it looked just like someone in a side-by-side was just following too close. And it worked pretty well. It fell off once, but we got it back on using the most dangerous tool known to man, a high lift jack. Back to you, and then Jerry.
So with these steering wheel locks they have on all these vehicles and that now, oftentimes some of these scenarios you're showing, the people a lot of times are still in the car so they can turn the key and unlock it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not. And I know you're not into rescue if you can help it, but some of those people, they can't get out until you can get them back up the hill. Do you try to get somebody to be in there turning the key to unlock these? You got all these things you got to counterman nowadays.
Yeah, on the stuff down the cliff, sometimes we've had a person in it when we've been pulling it up. Generally, we don't, but trying to think where we've had a situation where they were stuck in the vehicle. And I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, if it's really bad, they've gotten out, they've hiked down, they don't have cell service anyway. They've called us, we've gone back up later. We've had a few where they were scared to get in the vehicle. So one of us had to get in and do that. I don't know if we're broken or not, but yeah, let's go to Jerry. And
UARC is a 501c3, and we're interested in taking your donations. However, so is the Utah Offroad Recovery Team. And if you go to towers or you go places where this kind of bad thing might happen to you, I'd like to put in a plug for donate to these folks. And also, if you are driving around in the backcountry in your little Taco or Jeep or something like that,
I might suggest that you look up Legacy Off-Road, which is the Joel that we've been talking about, and their training. He has a great training course that will teach you what you need to know. And I'm part of Winches with Winches, which is one of the Yahoo Jeep ladies. We're 1,600 women in Utah with Jeeps. So we depend on these folks and occasionally get to help them pull somebody out. So these are worthwhile. This is a really worthwhile charity along with us. So please
Thank you.
consider that.
Yes, sir.
How many fatalities have you been involved with?
Zero. There was a couple almost, but they were not that many. One was a self-inflicted, almost, they went up there for a self-inflicted and they chickened out and somehow managed to still have a boo-boo. And they rolled out and the vehicle went ding, 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 ding down to the bottom. And we were actually going up for a different recovery and all the EMS folks passed us. And then when they were coming down, we talked to them and then we went up later and with the Forest Service, because we had to go, it was a lot of fun. I didn't get to do it, but trying to think. I think we might have had one where we went in with a family after to recover a vehicle, but that was it. And I don't remember the details on that one. And then we had one at a race that wasn't very fun, but that anyway. Yes.
What's your recovery? What area do you recover in? Do you do the whole state?
Northern Utah.
Northern.
So we're pretty much Fillmore. We've gone up into Idaho. We've been out to Manila and Flaming Gorge, Silver Island Mountains. Been out in the basin. I think about the furthest south we've been was kind of the Fillmore area. There was a guy named Casey down in the St. George Hurricane area, Casey's Offroad Recovery. So he handles that. And there's some other outfits down there that do it for money. And then over in Moab, you've got Rory Irish, that Trail Mater.
Yep.
I think he's got a YouTube channel now. And Rory's legit, Casey's legit. Those are good people. And we've referred stuff to each other over the years when we go four-wheeling together too. So we've all been kind of friends for a long time. But yeah, we have people up and down the Wasatch Front, and we have a few people out in the basin. They kind of have their own, they've got a little kind of mini group out there that they handle a lot of that stuff. That's a drive. But yeah, yes, sir.
On communications, are you using the 2 meter simplex?
Typically, yeah. Well, we just standardized on a repeater list after someone. Let's go to the promontory repeater. And I'm like dialing it up. Okay, I'm here, and everyone else is there but me. And so whatever I named promontory was different than what they named promontory. So we're rolling out right now a kind of a repeater list and simplex frequency list when we program it in our radios, it's going to be from 50 to whatever it is, 90 something or whatever. It's 40 some odd in areas that we use. So for some of us, they can just say, Brett, go to 53. And whatever we've named it, Lake Mountain or whatever kooky name I came up with, I'm going to be on the same frequency and in the same repeater as everyone else. And so, but mostly it's 2 meter. We're playing around with APRS a little bit. Some of the guys are really into that. I've got I picked up a 400 a little while ago, Yaesu 400 that I haven't installed yet. I'm trying to get everything uploaded in all my free time. So, I haven't really done any 70 centimeter, any of the other bands. Yeah.
What about your MS, work with other people out there?
GMRS, I mean, it's great. Yeah. I have a GMRS radio in all my rigs because that's all the Jeep outings now have that, and you can talk to each other.
For Jeep to Jeep communication,
Yeah.
but all the people leading, big Jeep runs, the recovery team, I mean, you've got to have amateur radio to have any kind of distance and things like that. And then to have, if you're out with, in part of Utah where there's a lot of Jeeps around, finding any bandwidth on GMRS can be a problem. So that's why we all use ham radio if we're leading anything or anything like that.
Let alone the 6-year-olds running around camp playing hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to hear them too. And it's, and when my kids were little, they played with the FRS back then, Yes, sir.
Have you, actually, I just wanted to hold the mic there.
Cool. I just want to do a mic drop, but I have this thing. It's not really going to work.
Have you thought about HF envis?
I'm sorry? HF?
NVIS?
I don't know what that is.
Straight up and straight down on HF.
Okay.
That's how we did the Pony Express. Communicating to Salt Lake from the 200 miles away from
Really,
Salt Lake.
the 2 meter works really well for what these guys are doing. Also, sometimes they'll be doing 2 at the same time. I mean, I love these folks because they save our butts. And by the way, if you are also thinking someday you might need them, follow their Facebook page now, not when you're in the woods going, what was that Facebook page? So, but yeah, the 2 meter works really well for them and it's simple. Whereas the HF stuff has capabilities. There was the guy stuck in Death Valley recently that broke into a HF communication between somebody in Florida and Connecticut. And so they were able to get 911 help across the country and save the family that was able to use their HF for that. But they're pretty organized. They're already coming out after somebody who's done an oops. And so they need that shorter, VHF type stuff that we all do when we're, in short range stuff. Same reason the SAG people tend to be on the 2 meter.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. That's something I didn't know about. So I'll try and remember that. And because we've got some guys on the team that probably love to test that out and see how we could deploy that. Yes, sir.
We have more than a dozen people watching live, so including people that used to live in Utah, like Ron, K7RJ's in Tucson, Arizona. Let's see, I think Rick, AI3W, just moved to Wilson, North Carolina. He's there. And Tom Schaefer, NY4I, asked a question. He used to be the president of UARC, maybe 20 years ago, Tom? Anyway, he's in Clearwater, Florida, and he asks, let's see, do vehicle owners sign a liability release to protect you from any legal liabilities? And then he says, maybe since it's a free service, there may be Good Samaritan laws may help you there.
Yes and yes. So the Good Samaritan, we really do depend on that quite a bit, but we do have a liability waiver that we send out. They sign it on their phone and then send it back to us. So yeah, we rolled that out a few years ago. So for sure. Yeah.
So heading down to Blanding area tonight with some engineers. So we probably should let him get on the road.
We get talking about this stuff and I just talk. So yes, thank you.
But also I want to be
Appreciate
appreciate our speaker.
No kidding, right?
Ending his emergency trip or delaying it so he could come speak with us.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thank you, Brett. That was
Yeah.
very educational and very entertaining as well. Okay, we have one more thing to talk about. We had a work party go down to Leamington. That's where one of our stations is located for a work party. We did some work there. There were a handful of us. Some of the guys in this room were here. Gary, Mike, myself, Clint, Laird. Where's Laird go? Laird. Yeah. Yeah, James. Yeah. Okay, a bunch of guys. So we're going to turn time over. I guess, Gary, you want to talk about what we did down there? Okay. Sure.
I'll talk about this a lot at the November meeting. I think October is homebrew and then November will be about the HF remotes. How many don't know about the HF remotes that UARC set up maybe 5 or 6 years ago? Maybe everybody's familiar with them. Yeah, they're remotely controlled radios. Oh, okay. They're remotely controlled HF radios. So using large antennas and lots of space in a low noise environment. So really well-performing HF radios that you can just control over the internet, and they're club owned and maintained. Anyway, so typically we add to them antennas now and then. So we're up to 4 antennas now. Just 2 weeks ago on Saturday, the 31st, we added a 6-meter beam antenna that we had acquired maybe a year prior to this, and it had been assembled at the home of Chuck in Salt Lake. Anyway, it took quite a crew to really put this antenna up at the 80-foot level. There's a 20-foot Roan 55G tower section on top of a 60-foot big heavy-duty microwave tower that was there for long distance service a long time ago. Anyway, we put that up 2 weeks ago. So thanks everybody for helping. There were like 16 people down there. So a lot of people have helped out with this project over the years. So if you want to learn more, there's on the website, utaharc.org, there's HF remotes on the left, and you can find out how to start using these radios. And so the 6-meter beam, 6 meters is probably not open like 20 and 40 are, but for certain things like maybe meteor scatter, and it may be possible, if anybody's interested in using WSJTX software and the MSK 144 mode for meteor scatter, obscure things like that, then let me know, because it's possible to use a virtual audio cable software to hook up your computer through RC4 to control the radio and work with things like that. Besides just if you happen to see kind of their 6-meter contacts being made, you could probably tune in. But anyway, I just tested it out by talking between the 2 UARC remotes, from the one at Leamington to the one at Fairview. They're both up in the mountains and they can hear each other. So besides the antenna, there's a switch box. So we have up to 5 antennas kind of sharing a coax possible, something like that. And then some building maintenance was done. Thanks, Laird, and everybody who helped with that, Mike and Blaze. So anyway, good maintenance that the owner kind of has a good symbiotic relationship with us to keep the site up, and we can add really, really cool stuff, antennas. And so it's up and running, and we'll talk about it in November, and you can read more about it on the website. So, and there are lots of pictures there too. There's a link to a photo album if you want to see it, a little drone video too. So any questions about that? Nope. Okay, good enough.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, who's here for the first time? Oh, a lot of hands here. Anybody here want to introduce yourselves? Sure. We'll take just a minute here. Tell us who you are.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon, KK7SIR. Just barely got my license like maybe 3 months ago. Joined up with you guys maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago maybe. So happy to meet everybody. Come say hi.
Great, thank you. Proudly.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm Joyce, WD4CFE. I'm Jack's wife, and I've had my license for 47 years.
Oh, I am impressed.
I'm Dan Lundwall, and I drink. Oh, wrong meeting. Sorry. And I've been sober for an hour. This is my first time that I've actually been here. New member, started with the tower party, the 6-meter beam party. I'm president of the Murray Amateur Radio Club, and great to now spend some time here.
Great.
I'm Caitlin, and I just barely got into the ham radio community just like today. So I don't have a call sign yet. Just wanted to come up here to get involved in the community and maybe find some people who be willing to help me get started.
Good. Anybody else? Okay, tag-alongs. Anybody else? All right. We need to have the drawing. Did everybody get a ticket?
Next month will be the homebrew night, so it's worth attending, and if you have a show and tell, please come prepared to show and tell.
I know, G. Thanks, Bruce. Does everybody have a ticket?
Everybody have a ticket? Did everybody get their ticket in the bucket?
How many prizes do we have?
$11.
11?
Price we got.
11. Okay, we have 11 prizes, so Linda's gonna choose 11 tickets. I hope you all put the right one in. You keep the one that says keep this ticket, and you have to keep it forever. I have a whole drawer full at home.
Can we get out the door?
Forever and ever, amen. Here you go, James. Since you're here. Yeah, sure.
All right, first off, we have W7GEM. Come get your prize.
It's first come, first served, so.
Right under your, yeah. So why don't you draw again? Probably already have it on paper.
Sounds good. All right, so go ahead and draw two more. All right, how about KD7ASI? N7XDL. KK7SIR, KF5UPT, KG7UJL, N7MFQ, KA7TPH, N7OVG, KF7OZK, N7JAB. Ted's not here. So KK7WI and K7KQY.
One time we drew these tickets and I pulled my own number out. And I looked at it and I saw that it was me and I said, I don't like that guy. And I threw it back. I don't think anybody understood what I did. Okay, we are finished. Go home.